This is KOOP HD1 HD3 Hornsby, radio for people, not for profit. Welcome to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show. Each week, we explore how your library is more than books. The library is knowledge, technology, and inspiration for our community. Hi, welcome. I'm your host today, Kanya Lyons, and today in the studio we have Andrea Schwartz, and she's a reference librarian who is starting a new film series at the Austin Public Library called Talking Pictures. So good afternoon, Andrea.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks so much for being here. So would you mind giving us just a brief introduction to this program and what you have in mind?
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a new program. We're starting on March 20th. And it's going to be a lively community program where Austinites can get together and watch movies and talk about them. And we're going to see a whole variety of movies. That was sort of the intention, to have variety and mix it up. Mm-hmm. We'll be watching sometimes documentaries, sometimes feature films, comedies, dramas, some animated films, classics, just all kinds of movies.
Awesome.
So there'll be variety. The hope is to, attract as many different kinds of people as we can and have as many different kinds of conversations as we can.
Oh, that's exciting. So what inspired you, or is there a common thread that runs through it, or just the idea of talking about them, the conversations?
Well, I love movies. And
Me too.
I do like to have interesting conversations and thoughtful conversations. And, I'm sure there's all kinds of people who feel that way too. And I thought we could get together and just do it together, and oftentimes you'll see a movie and you really want to talk about it with someone and you want to, really think about it, and this would be an opportunity to do that. With the community, and it is a new program, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but that's definitely the intention.
Well, I feel you. I know many times I've gone to see a movie and wanted to really go deep afterwards.
Exactly.
And really talk about it in depth and kind of analyze, why did they do that, or why did this happen? So that's really a neat opportunity to provide a space for that.
Yeah, exactly. And, sometimes you'll go to a movie alone, or you'll go with another person, and maybe they don't want to talk about it as much as you want to talk about it. And so this is a chance to talk. And I'm purposely choosing movies. I'm choosing a variety of movies, but I'm also choosing movies that I think, lend themselves to discussion. And that's kind of like the number one criteria is, can we talk about this, Because some movies, there's not much to say. So every movie I've chosen is at least a movie that has some interesting themes or discussable in some way.
Well, we have a lot of movies at the library to choose from. How were you able to sort of narrow it down to the handful that you selected?
That's a great question, and it hasn't been easy. Well, first of all, the Austin Public Library works with several companies that license movies. Mm-hmm. So it has to be, we have to have the license to it. And so that's one thing. And another thing is I wanted it to be about 2 hours or less, mm-hmm. because, it's a 3-hour program, mm-hmm. and then we need time to talk. And so we can't really have these monster mega movies. Although there's some fabulous movies that I would love to show, but they're just crazy long. So mm-hmm. it just wouldn't really work, So it has to be under license, and it has to be, not too long, and also a movie that's just discussable, that I feel like people could talk about, not just, if there's no conflict or mm-hmm. There's got to be some kind of conflict for it to be interesting, right?
Yes.
So it's not just everything's perfect and bye, because there's really nothing to say.
I like movies that leave me with questions that are unanswered by the movie, where I have to really dig deep. Like, what was that about?
Yeah.
What did they? So
Exactly. Well, one of the movies that we're going to be featuring, actually, I think is really great that way. It's called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
That's a great one.
It's a great movie, and that certainly will make many people scratch their heads. I think it's a great movie.
I really enjoyed it myself.
Yeah.
Well, so how often is this program going to take place?
Well, at first, it's going to be every other month.
Uh-huh.
But if it's real successful and if everything goes right, I'm going to try to make it every month.
Cool.
It's just kind of brand new, so I'm feeling it out. But I'm hoping that eventually it can be a monthly thing. And,
It takes time to build an audience, but yeah, if it sounds like you have a good platform for that. So
Yeah.
I think people will be interested. I know I'm interested. So like, how are the discussions going to take place? Is it like everybody sits in a circle, or are you going to have a sort of a discussion leader, or is that worked out yet?
Well, I'll be honest, it hasn't been worked out yet. But I'm thinking I'm going to have to just kind of play it by ear, especially the first time, completely play it by ear. If it's kind of a huge audience, basically everybody who watches the movie has the option of staying to talk or just leaving, whatever they want to do. So if a whole lot of people want to stay and talk, and it's just kind of a really large crowd, I think I'll just have questions, to throw out there, and we can talk that way. But if it's kind of more manageable, we'll probably get in a circle, like if it's 20 something.
Yeah.
Or maybe if it's 40 people, get into 2 circles. I'm going to have to just play it by ear. I've never done this before. But I will be armed with, questions, and, I'll read a lot of reviews beforehand to help guide me. And, it's going to be interesting.
So this is at the Central Library. What space will it be in the Central Library? It's a pretty big library, so.
It's a big library. It's a beautiful library. Sometimes it will be in the gallery. Uh-huh. And then sometimes it's going to be in the Special Event Center. It'll depend on availability and various things. Like the first film we'll be showing, Man on Wire, will be at the Special Event Center, and then it's the gallery, and then it's the Special Event Center, then it's the gallery. So it's going to kind of depend.
Okay. Well, all the details are on the library's website at library.austintexas.gov. So that we can just look at that before I go. I'll check on the website.
We haven't actually gotten it posted yet. I'm still waiting for some stuff.
She did it. I think we got it up, but we can make adjustments later. But so for those of you just joining us, listeners, this is Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show on Co-op 91.7 FM and streaming at koop.org. And details about this show are online at library.austintexas.gov/volumes. And today our guest is Andrea Schwartz, and we're talking about her upcoming program, Talking Pictures, which is kind of for movie buffs who want to watch and reflect on films of all different types. And you mentioned that some will be documentary films, some will be fictional, a lot of different, which is that sounds exciting to me. I would get bored of just one format. So I like that you're kind of thinking outside of the box and really just picking things that are conversation pieces.
Yeah. I mean, I like variety, and I think probably plenty of people like variety. And I think it'll be more kind of all-inclusive if I have a variety of films. I don't want just comedies or just dramas or just animation or something. So, yeah. But there is one common theme that is going to connect everything, which is we can talk about it.
I like
so
that.
We're there to talk about it.
That's inspiring. Well, so you were saying that you want to that you're going to like kind of research. So yeah, I was curious how being, how your job as a reference librarian sort of informs your approach to this type of a discussion, or, like, are you going to, do a bunch of research beforehand, or just kind of come and
Well, yeah, I think what I'm going to do,
bit.
and I've already started doing this for Man on Wire, is just looking at people's reviews. And, they'll inevitably, other people will come up with some, thoughts and ideas that I didn't have, and I could bring them up. Like that's already happened with the first film. Like I've been looking at reviews, and they just noticed something I didn't notice, and so I can bring it up, and so it'll help me because I mean, I'm just one person, and I'm not gonna pick up on everything. So yeah, I am looking at other people's thoughts on these movies to help me ask questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so help me, Man on Wire, that's the film about the man who walked between the two towers, is that right?
Yeah.
And is it a documentary?
It's a documentary. It won an Oscar. So it's an award-winning documentary, and it's about the French tightrope walker Philippe Petit and his walk across the wires, the two towers of the World Trade Center. He did it in 1974. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a pretty fascinating guy. So there's no shortage of things to say.
Yeah, I read the children's book about it as well.
Oh.
Yeah, there's and I think I saw the documentary, but it's been a while, so that's why I was like, I'm not sure. I couldn't remember if it was, a fictionalized account but it is a documentary.
Yeah, it's a true documentary.
A fascinating thing, and I can't believe that somebody, was willing and made it happen and just did it. It's.
I mean, it was like his life dream to do it, and the film is interesting not just because of the actual act of walking across the wire, but I mean, he just had to work so hard with other people to make it happen. It was sort of one reviewer called it the artistic crime of the century because it really was illegal.
Yeah.
And pulling it off, like being able to get a wire across from one tower to the other illegally, that is pretty fascinating.
And then to live to tell about it.
Yes. It's amazing. So I think people will really like this documentary.
Oh, I'm excited. Well, so I can't wait to continue our discussion about the Talking Pictures film program at the Central Library. We're going to take a really short break, and we're going to listen to some announcements about events that are happening at Austin Public Libraries throughout town.
My name is Blair Parsons, and I'm a librarian at the Central Library. Each week I highlight a few programs for adults that are happening around the Austin Public Library. Our full list of programs may be found on the library's events calendar. Tonight, Wednesday, February 7th, at the Central Library, author Brian Mealer will read from his just-published The Kings of Big Spring, which follows his family legacy back through 4 generations of Texas, trying to survive and thrive despite tremendous odds. Mealer's reading will be followed by an audience Q&A, book sales, and a signing. The program begins at 7 o'clock tonight, Wednesday, February 7th, at the Central Library. The Ruiz Branch Library's next citizenship class is Monday, February 12th, from 7 o'clock to 7:45 p.m. The 10-week series meets weekly and discusses 10 questions per week to cover all 100 questions on the written exam. The class meets every Monday night through April 16th at the Ruiz Branch Library, from 7 o'clock to 7:45 p.m.
Hey there, Austin. Teen Program Specialist Michael Harley from the Downtown Central Library here. Having any Valentine's Day cravings? Maybe for a bite or two of chocolate? Well, there's a chocolate war of epic proportions going down this Valentine's Day at the Carver Branch on Wednesday, February 14th from 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Teens can compete to beat the clock in a variety of chocolate-themed challenges. This event is open to tweens and teens ages 10 to 17. More details for these and additional programs can be found at library.austintexas.gov/events.
This is Ann Minner, Managing Librarian at the Old Quarry Branch. I get to highlight a few Austin Public Library events happening for children this week. The Austin Public Library is proud to partner with Bow Wow Reading Dogs. Kids of all ages find these certified Austin Dog Alliance trained therapy dogs to be attentive, non-judgmental listeners. These wonderful dogs and their humans are trained extensively and visit the Austin Public Libraries to encourage reading in a relaxed atmosphere that builds confidence. Kids of all reading levels are welcome and encouraged to read to Moxie at the Manchac Road branch on Saturday, February 10th at 10 a.m., to Bonnie at the Yarborough branch on Saturday, February 10th at 11:30 a.m., and to George at the Pleasant Hill branch on Wednesday, February 14th at 3:45 p.m. Details about additional Bow Wow Reading Dog library visits across the city are at library.austintexas.gov.
The Austin Toy Museum is a local nonprofit dedicated to preserving classic toys and educating people on their cultural significance. Part of our mission is to train special needs individuals through volunteer opportunities. You can visit us at 1108 East Cesar Chavez or check us out at austintoymuseum.org.
You're listening to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show, on Co-op 91.7 FM and KOOP.org. Radio for people, not for profit.
Austin may boast it's the music capital of the world, but there isn't another city outside of Hollywood that loves the movies more, and that's why Lights Camera Austin takes a weekly look at what's happening in the world of film. We'll have interviews with homegrown and out-of-town talent, reviews of the latest releases, and an events guide that will keep you at the cinema 7 nights a week. So don't be a slacker. Please join me, Robert Sims, from 2 to 3 p.m. Thursdays for Lights, Camera, Austin.
Hey, welcome back to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show on KOOP 91.7 FM and streaming at koop.org. And we have a really exciting guest in the studio today, the delightful Andrea Schwartz, who's organizing a series of programs called Talking Pictures at the Austin Central Library. Welcome back, Andrea.
Thanks for having me. Thanks so much.
So we were just talking kind of during the break a little bit, and you were saying that so we wanted to make sure we mentioned that Talking Pictures is kind of geared towards adults. These are adult subjects, and when we say adult, we just mean that, you know, probably not a family-oriented thing, but there's nothing really necessarily disturbing or particularly adult or graphic in these films. They're just not intended for children and families, right?
Right, exactly. I wouldn't consider them family films. They're more...
the kids would be bored.
Yeah, kids would not be interested in these movies. They would be bored.
Yeah,
exactly.
But so when we say adult films, that's what we mean.
Right, exactly.
So you've actually picked some really cool films, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it. You have, as we discussed, Man on Wire. And then you also mentioned Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind earlier. What are some of the other films that you're going to highlight?
Yeah, Man on Wire is our first film, and then our second film will be 12 Angry Men, which is an excellent classic movie that's still relevant today.
Absolutely.
Our third film is La La Land, which I just thought was a wonderful film, and that's very contemporary, so that's, you know, a shift from a classic. And our fourth film is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Our fifth film will be The Tower, which is another documentary, a really fascinating documentary with animation about, you know, what happened at the UT Tower with Charles Whitman, essentially the first mass shooting.
Right.
But it's done in an amazing way. And then some other films I'm thinking of showing, either adding on this year if all goes well, or just having in the future, would be Get Out. Excellent movie.
I just watched that for the second time. Yeah.
That is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Very creepy.
I thought that was such an excellent movie. And then I'm looking for foreign films too. I've thought of showing The Lives of Others. It's a German film. And then The Danish Girl is another movie I'm thinking of showing, about the first, about a very brave transsexual woman a long time ago. And then Suffragette, about women struggling for, rights to vote. 1984, which I think is highly relevant today. And then on the lighter side, I thought of showing Harold and Maude. That's discussable, but much lighter. So.
Yes. That's a great film. Those are all, I studied film in school, so I'm kind of a cinephile. And I stand behind all your choices. I would certainly be interested in watching those with a group of people multiple times and discussing them. So, yeah.
I'll have to talk to you afterwards about some more choices.
Well, these are great. I mean, so 12 Angry Men, you're talking the original black and white, right? Because they remade it recently, believe it or not.
Oh.
Yeah, at least that's what I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow. Well, yes, this is the original. Because I definitely want classics in there. And like I said, I'm trying to get some variety, and I need to pick an animated film eventually to get some more variety. I was thinking a colleague suggested Persepolis, but I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen that. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it, yeah.
And then Spirited Away I haven't seen, but I was thinking I need to watch it. I'm basically watching all these movies before I make the choices. So I've been watching a lot of movies. Spirited
Away, I is a great film. Although it's I think a little more geared towards children.
Oh, okay.
But it's definitely worth watching as an adult. But I don't know if it'll match your audience in this case. But those are all really great choices. So. And I like how you've kind of mixed it up, like 12 Angry Men and then followed by La La Land. So let's compare, a classic with a kind of a reimagined, in a classic style, but very modern. The La La Land thing is interesting. I like what they the choices they made with musicals and how to kind of modernize the musical, because that was a sort of a staple of our film consumption in the history of the United States, and musicals have largely fallen out of favor. I mean, it's except for children's films sometimes will incorporate song, but I kind of like it when they try to reimagine musicals as in a modern way.
Yeah, I'm personally not a huge musical fan, but when I saw La La Land, oh my God, I really loved that movie. It's just an excellent movie. There's another movie that it's now I'm thinking of it. It's with Bjork.
Dancer in the Dark.
Dancer in the Dark.
Also a musical reimagined, very unique.
Very unique. Maybe that would be something to show too. That is really dark.
Yeah.
But it is great. So I don't know. People would be so depressed after seeing that. So
but it does prompt conversation. I mean, it would fit your criteria. Yeah. Although it might, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it might be on the long side, I think.
Yeah, I have to see if it's under license and the length and all that. But that's an excellent movie, a reimagined musical. It's very unique. And Bjork was amazing in it, I have to say. But anyway, whatever.
I really enjoy her music and her in that film as well. So the films are 2 hours or less on average, and then that leaves about an hour kind of for discussion. And then you said that people, if they want to just see the film and they're not feeling like discussing it, they're welcome to just see the film and then leave. But then those folks that do really want to dig in and So
probably the discussion will be around 45 minutes. It's going to depend on the length of the film, but we probably have to leave about 10 till closing. So sometimes it might be an hour, sometimes it might be 45 minutes. Just kind of that's the range. 45 to 60 minutes.
And are refreshments allowed in any of these spaces, or we don't know yet?
Oh, gosh. Well, that's something, I was talking to my supervisor about down the road maybe having some popcorn, but we haven't really worked that out yet. So I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll get to that.
Out.
Well, once those things are ironed out, we can make sure that information is on the website.
Okay.
I just want to remind people that are listening that this is Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show on Co-op 91.7 FM. and streaming at koop.org. We're talking with Andrea Schwartz about an upcoming movie program at the Austin Central Library. It's called Talking Pictures, and the very first screening is taking place at 6 p.m. on March 20th, and that film will be Man on Wire, which is a documentary, as we discussed, about the man who walked between the towers on a high wire. So we're kind of really towards the end of our conversation here. Is there anything else that we didn't get to that you wanted to add or highlight?
Well, I think we covered just pretty much everything. I think it's just going to be a great program where people can get together as a community and talk about movies and, just have a real sense of community and thoughtful discussions.
Oh, I have one last question real quick. Are these movies on the weekends or during the week? What day of the week?
Oh, it's Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay, That's good to know. Tuesday evenings.
They're going to be on Tuesday
at 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m.
At the Central Library.
At the Central Library, yeah.
And
at first it'll be every other month, but hopefully I'll add some more dates and then we'll have it be a more frequent program.
Well, fantastic. I can't thank you enough for being here today. I want to just take a minute to talk about February being African American History Month. And so I want to take a minute to talk about some of the festivities that we're going to have at the library. We're going to have several movie screenings taking place at some branches, book clubs where they're reading books that are specific to African American History Month. There's going to be a spoken word performance. In addition to that, there are a couple of large programs, the Austin History Center photo exhibit, Clearing Stones and Sowing Seeds, which is on display now through April 15th. This is an exhibit featuring photographs that document the services and the educational programs offered by the Travis County Negro Extension Service. So these are historical black and white photos that really show you the history. And the library is also co-sponsoring the Celebration of Diverse Literary Voices in Texas, and that co-sponsor is with KAZI Book Review, and that program takes place February 24th from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Austin Central Library. This is a literary event that it will include readings by several Texas authors who will also participate in panel discussions about publishing. And actually, on this very show that you're listening to right now, on February 21st, Volumes will feature an interview with Hopeton Hay, who produces the Celebration of Diverse Literary Voices in Texas. And details about that and all of the African American History Month programs that I mentioned can be found on the library's website, which is library.austintexas.gov. Additionally, details about Talking Pictures, the program that we've been talking about today with Andrea Schwartz, that information is online at the library's website as well. So, and of course, anything about this show, Volumes, is on that same website. So we also have a link on the page called Recommended on the Air, where we will share the movies that we talked about today, and where we also, any book or any kind of library material that we discuss on this show is always going to be added to that Recommended on the Air list for folks to find out about. So thanks so much to our guest today, Andrea Schwartz from the Austin Central Library. And thanks to our hardworking volunteer, Federico Pacheco, and our intern, Dana Williams, for their contributions on this week's program. We invite everyone to stay tuned to 91.7 FM and koop.org for rock and roll pest control, high-octane rock, metal, and punk music. Thanks for listening to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show. Special thanks to our producer, DJ Harris, and to the musicians who composed and performed our original theme song, Andrew Noble on violin, Kirk Duvall on guitar, and Mike Wheat on percussion. And thanks to you, our listeners. Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show, airs Wednesday afternoons at 2:30 on Co-op 91.7 FM and koop.org. If you catch us mid-show, full episodes and other details can be found at library.austintexas.gov/volumes.